it's been an amazing event so far. So Larisa Stow, thank you, Larissa. Good to see you. Is here to wake, shake, and create a vibration raising weevolution. Weevolution. She is a modern day mystic, student of heart centered living, sacred sounds gypsy, and embodiment coach, inspired to help others live a heart and soul centered life. She has inspired to help others live a heart and soul centered life. She has graced hundreds of stages with her bound Shakti Tribe at festivals and consciousness raising events around the world, and leads transformational playshops and world retreats, incorporating tools from her private practice as an embodiment coach, love this, and certified NLP practitioner. Quite amazing. I've heard you perform. Your energy is fantastic. And I know you've recently had some great experiences. I hope you share. And I'm so happy to welcome you to Portal to Ascension today.
Thank you, Joan. Thank
and
you.
meet
That was
Neil.
good.
Have you met Neil Gore, the founder of Portal to Ascension, Larissa?
Of
Not
course, I've
officially.
met
Oh,
Neil.
yes, we had a call. Of course we did. Yes, had a call maybe like 2018 because I wanted you to come to my conference back then. It never worked out, but now we're working together. So this is just the beginning of a lot of beauty and magic we'll create together.
I say yes to that, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've been in the same. We've been circling around each other.
Yeah.
Maybe she could come to your upcoming conference, live conference, Neil.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you and we can talk about it.
Yes.
Okay.
You're telepathic here. I was thinking the same thing.
Right, because Larisa Stow and the Shakti Tribe are incredible musicians, bringing
Yeah, they are.
relevant music to our tribe, to our global tribe. It's like you can turn on the radio, but what are they singing about? The same old drama. No, Larissa's creating songs and music that relate to our experience as spiritually evolving beings. And she sang me some of the melodies that were going through her head when she got out of this dark room, 3 days in the dark, that came to her, and they were just very beautiful. And what's great about your work is you speak about your own experience. So it's like you're sharing what you know. It's not found in books. It's not philosophy. The difference between wisdom and philosophy is experience, and this is what you give us. So thanks for joining us today. Have you been listening to any of the other presentations?
I did. I have a little bit. Like as I told you, I jumped on to this other online conference too, and then hopped back over here. But I'm grateful to be here. I heard Val. I heard a bit of Val's earlier.
Right, because some of that relates to, I only asked that because a lot of what you shared with me in our interview relates to what you've experienced, right? I mean,
yes, very much so.
So we don't have to repeat. People can look at that conversation that we had the other day. Joan, do you have anything else?
No, I feel like if you could share your experiences, your heart, your music, you've been channeled exactly what to share with us today.
Right.
Well, I could dive on in and
I just keep diving, but I also bring in the love and the goddess because you just jumped off a goddess gathering to jump onto our gathering. So thank you for being here.
this is true. Well, I have been, I would say, filled with passion about Kundalini and Kundalini awakening. It's been a passion of mine to share and to help activate and to help others integrate Kundalini awakening. As I've experienced, I know a lot of people are really excited about having a Kundalini awakening, but a Kundalini awakening to me is a lot like a child, that's given fire. And if you don't know what to do with that fire, you can get burned. So it's really awesome. And if not, if you're going through Kundalini all by yourself, it's quite an adventure. And I feel like I've learned so much from my experience with Kundalini. It has been an adventure. of a lifetime. And there's a lot, like I said, there's a fire about Kundalini that is so powerful because like a fire brings warmth. It is fuel. It helps us see more clearly in life. It can also, when it's not connected to love, specifically to very just the love of gratitude, like when we're grateful for life, we're grateful for our this present moment and the beautiful beings in our life, our family and our friends. When our Kundalini isn't connected to that love, it can go sideways. And when we don't listen to our Kundalini and what it has to teach us, because it is very, very wise, it can definitely also go sideways in my experience. So, for those who are listening today, I have a feeling there's probably a lot of curiosity for those who are hearing about Kundalini awakening, and for those who have had a Kundalini awakening and want to understand what's happening to their bodies and what they're experiencing. I think this is an amazing, beautiful space for us to be able to support one another, because now is the time. This is pretty much, this is the time we've been waiting for on the planet. This, to be able to experience our connection to our multidimensionality and not be just trapped, so to speak, within our 3D beta brain wave condition default consciousness. We are being given the keys to our full multidimensionality, which is direct in line with source, where we get to experience being the Godhead ourselves, rather than seeing God on the outside and something to pray to on the outside of ourselves. We are being given access to know that we ourselves are our God. And with all this, we can drink our own Kool-Aid, you know. So as we are navigating between this Kundalini awakening that's happening, which is, you know, it blows the human mind when you start to have the experience of having your Kundalini awaken and you go into oneness, and that realm of Shiva and Shakti. It is so mind-blowing and it is so ecstatic, that when you come back, when you have that realization of being the Godhead yourself, then coming back into form, it's a wild ride, because this form is like, what, I am that? And if this form isn't connected to heart, to ground it in heart-centered awareness, again, it can really go sideways and we can drink our own Kool-Aid, so to speak.
So talk about the connection of this energy that's rising up through the body for whatever reason. You said you were standing online in a store and like boom, it was starting, and awakening to multi-dimensional realities. I mean, and that transformation of the egoic self into this divine awareness, you know? Is that too much?
So what is your question with that, Alan?
The question was, I want to hear about your experience, like how that pulled you out of something you were into something you are now. Does that make sense?
It started happening slowly to begin with. So what I shared with you about standing in line in a grocery line at the store, and then having my crown just be overtaken with tingles, and then to go into this expansive state of consciousness while standing in the grocery line. That was the beginnings of it. Later, when it really started going, then I shared with you yesterday about how it felt like I was a cat in heat. It became more of a sexual energy at the base of my spine and in my sacral chakra, and I worked to move that on up. When it did start moving on up, that's when I started going into these incredible states of oneness within the Shiva and Shakti realm that was so ecstatic, and literally my body started moving into kriyas and into what I call like the wave of consciousness, the wave of creation specifically. There's this wave and you catch it, and we're all this wave. We are this one beautiful wave of energy and of consciousness. So I caught the wave, so to speak, and in catching that wave, then you are that. There's no separation. But then there's still this body, that we have that is about fractalized consciousness, the many faces, so to speak, of God, and there is a forgetting when we come back into this form. Like I can't even begin to remember the absolute beauty that I experience when I'm in that oneness state. It's literally like, when you're having a dream and you come out of that dream and you try to remember that dream, and if you have a really beautiful God dream or a lucid dream, then you're going to remember more of it, but still you're not going to have necessarily the words when you come back into more of the beta brainwave, the alpha brainwave, even the theta brainwave, to be able to describe almost the indescribable, which is so much love, such a profound, expansive state, and it's multidimensional because it's like there's the energies that are coming through are so different than the personality. My personality is Larisa. It's like I go so into these different states of consciousness that I have to work to remember Larisa and remember my life as a human.
But why remember it, Larisa? I mean, because you're not Larisa anyway. We're not our name. I mean, yeah, you want to be in the world, but why go back to the individuated form when you are the infinite?
To integrate, because our planet, it serves a very specific purpose. To be human is a huge gift. And I know that we've been brainwashed to think that, to be human is a lower, denser, which vibrationally it is, but there's a judgment about being human. And the miracle of being human is the opportunity to actually expand consciousness, to grow consciousness. Whereas when you don't have a body, you just are that unconditional love. You are that pure vibration of love. So
Beautiful.
I want to remember Larisa because I want to bridge the consciousness of my multidimensionality with Larisa to receive that much love, and to expand this container that I inhabit so that it can hold that much love, that much unconditional love, which is not something, I mean, we talk about it, but to really, to be that vibration of unconditional love is what we're learning how to do here. And it's why we are here, is to make love real in the densest places. So consciousness is choosing to embody Like God is choosing to embody, to grow consciousness, to take that love into the densest realms and to remember within the density, remember, remember itself.
Yeah. You know, also what's been coming up today with a lot of the women, I mean, mostly women, is this emanation of the divine feminine, the goddess, the being, the embodiment of divine as self. And you've had a bunch of experiences where you, I wouldn't even say met the divine, you emanated the divine, right? So,
Yes.
what is the connection between the Kundalini energy, which is really physical because it's visceral, it's in the body, and these multi-dimensional aspects of consciousness that are non-physical? Make that connection, you know?
Well, again, it's a wave and it's beautiful because as above, so below. So, as we are this one wave, we have waves in the ocean. We are made mostly of water. So, our bodies are actually reflecting who we are in the most expansive sense as well. So, Kundalini awakening gives us access to ride form and formlessness at the same time. At the same time.
But what's the connection to the goddess then?
Well, the thing is, Alan, there is only the god and the goddess. It's just like the god and the goddess go into complete oneness, and in form, form itself is the realm of the goddess. We are inhabiting the realm of the goddess. The human is,
Mm-hmm.
be it masculine and feminine, like you, Alan, me, Larisa, we're both expressing the goddess by being in form.
We are living inside the god. These bodies are aspects of the goddess herself.
Exactly.
And so we're really an aspect of the goddess, that
Yes.
divine emanation. And then that's the goddess, then what's the divine masculine, and where and we're both, right? Because it's
Yes.
the spirit coming into form, that is the and then the marriage of that is the divine marriage in embodiment.
Yes. The divine marriage, which I believe really meets within the heart center.
Mm.
Um, the divine masculine is an expression of the formlessness of consciousness without form, and divine feminine is the expression of the energy of form itself.
Right.
So when being embodied, being these embodied beings that we have both this, the formlessness that exists within us,
Mm-hmm.
right? We even know, like, scientifically, how we are literally coming in and out of existence all the time, right? So we're literally in form and formlessness at the same time. We're in the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Um, Specifically, here's a piece I think this might touch upon more what you're looking for, and kind of like, okay, the goddess, Larisa, the goddess.
No, whatever
Um,
you want to share is beautiful. It's great. Yeah, that's good.
we have spent so much of our time on this planet focusing on God as being something on the outside of ourselves and wanting to actually ascend out of our body. Like all the religions, all of them are look to, okay, um, let us not, let us uh, temper our desires or even rid ourselves of our desires. Let's forego attachment. We've heard that we're sinful beings, so therefore, when we go to heaven, that's the ultimate. And there's been so much about getting out of this body, whereas this is the time of really getting into the body, rather than trying to get out, because we're trying to get out to go to God, as if God is outside of ourselves, like, oh God, please come into me, pour yourself into me. That has been where our focus has been. Now what's beautiful about now, why the goddess is rising, so to speak, is because now we're recognizing, and the Kundalini awakening is helping us to do this, is to recognize that we are the Godhead. We are the vibration of God. And when we are in our in one with Source and our multidimensionality, we have full experience that we are this Godhead. Well, the goddess is about God wanting to come into form. God is wanting to make love, so to speak, by desires. God itself desires to come into form, which is coming towards the goddess, because goddess is form. So God is like, I want to get in there. I want to get in this body. I want to make love real in this body. I want to grow consciousness. There's a deep respect for form. So we are coming into our form, which is the goddess. And as we embody within the goddess, now the goddess, once she fully embodies and claims her power, that this is a powerful opportunity in this life to be human, to get to experience love at a whole other level. And we're talking love thyself, love this body, love this life, love your family, love your friends. Like, this is the most precious gift that we have, is to fully be here while we're here. Not try to get out of here, but like get in here. Get
Beautiful.
in the body.
Absolutely. And you know what? Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. But you know what you just said? Actually, I thought maybe that's why it's so healing when the goddess is embodied, because the goddess is form, and you bring that energetic presence into form. That's the healing, because the healing is then embodied. The divine is embodied. So that happened to you, and Val talked about that, and a few other people I know actually have talked about embodying that energy heals the informed, the information, the informed.
Yes. Yes, and it's the miracle. And it's sensual, and it's fun, and it's playful. It's all these things that we have renounced, like that religions have renounced and said, oh, that's too much pleasure, that's lust, that's gluttony, that's this, that's that. There's a balance. There's a balance of deep listening. And when we deeply listen, when we embody and we have respect for these bodies and this life and this opportunity that we have, when we do that, we come into a deep listening. And in that deep listening, then we're directed to know who we want to connect, on a sensual, sexual way with. We know that that's somebody that we have codes to share with, that there's a merging there to learn, to grow at a deeper level. It's not like this, free for all, because you're listening. You're not eating too much food, because again, you're listening to your body, and what the body is saying nourishes it, but you're loving the tastes, and you're enjoying that connection with life. And when we do that, then we root. We begin to this presence of our God consciousness roots into the divine feminine, and it goes down, down, down into the earth. It roots. We root powerfully, and then we rise. Then we rise. We're not trying to get out of the body, but that energy of love begins to rise and begins to, what I love to say is, embloom. There's this embloomment that happens. It's different than enlightenment. It's different than embodiment, because the enlightened consciousness of God consciousness embodies. It's like, yes, has ultimate respect for the body rather than denouncing it. And then that energy, that Kundalini rises, and it emblooms within the heart center, which is the divine union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us.
Mm. Beautiful. That should be a song and a dance. And that was great because I felt it. I felt what you were saying as you, because you've lived this. You've embodied it. You're so
I'm
the
working on it, Alan. I'm working on,
doing. You know what? You're
it's a
closer than a lot of
day-to-day
people.
relationship, you know? It's a relationship.
But as this thing comes through, you give birth to your songs, your creativity, your voice, your passion. And do you want to share some of that? Because that's also a transmission of energetics, I think. I mean, if you care to. I mean, I know
Sure.
you do. I mean, I think it
Do
just
you want me
flows.
to get out my harmonium? Are you saying that and to share
I didn't
like
say
that, or
that,
what do
but
you?
if you want to, that would be, is that a big deal to get out your harmonium?
No, but you know what else I was thinking
No.
about is I
Tell me more.
recorded this piece that I felt like might be really interesting
Okay, we're
as
with
an
it.
activation,
Yes.
you know, for people to feel and experience the activation of the breath and this energy of the Shiva Shakti, the divine holy, the matrimony, so to speak, holy union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within ourselves.
That would be nice. Yeah, play that too. Yes, of course. Play whatever. Yeah, sure. Because that's what we're talking about today. So the Kundalini though is the initiation
Mhm.
into that divine awareness would be, and that's why it's so powerful, and that's why we're talking about it, because we're coming into a new time of our divine awareness, or the awareness of the divine, it seems like.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and I almost touched upon this, but I want to make sure I touch upon this, which is the deep listening, like really learning from the Kundalini.
Mm.
In my earlier stages, although I mean it was back in 2018, I had a Kundalini blowout. Um,
Really?
I did. I had a major Kundalini blowout, um, and that was because I didn't listen. The Kundalini is the most wild and wise energy all at the same time. It is, there's so much power within the Kundalini. And at the time, I just wanted to completely overcome my egoic, I would say, you know, the suffering in my life of, I knew that my ego was holding me back in different ways. And I wanted to blow that out. And I had an experience where the Kundalini was so strong, and I was getting these lightning bolts that were going through my body. But specifically, I had an experience, these lightning bolts going up into my brain. And it was so ecstatic. I was in such bliss and so much ecstasy. And then I saw this death cloak. It came, and it was it was very obvious that it was a death cloak. And to me, it was, you know, telling me that something was going to die. And my gut feeling was that I should probably stop leaning into the lightning bolts, like just to back off, because I was leaning into it, like, yeah, I could feel it just like clearing out like all this stuff. And I was like, I was so into it. But when the death cloak came, I had a feeling that I should stop. But ironically, it was my ego that was like, no, we just want to keep going and blow through this egoic stuff. So it was my ego that wanted to blow through the ego, the suffering, and I didn't stop. And then it was like somebody had pulled an electrical cord out of an outlet, and my whole energy just went like completely collapsed. I had heart palpitations that were going crazy. I had to bang on my heart center to try to get my heart to go back in into a steady rhythm. The next day, I could barely sit up. I couldn't walk normally. It was so bad that I went to emergency over it. Um, my eye, within like a week or so, I started seeing this shadow, big blob of a shadow in my right eye, and my left breast started bleeding. All happened from this Kundalini blowout because I did not listen. So
So
I feel like
wait, I just want to understand. So what should you have done so you didn't have that blow? I mean, what were you to do? Because you're so connected to this, you want more, more, more. I guess it's like,
that it's like it was a bit of an addiction. And
mm,
that's the piece that I feel like it's important that we are responsible with our Kundalini awakening to listen really deeply and listen again from the heart rather than from this place of like our, when we want this spiritual growth, we want spiritual progress. That's from the mind. That's not from the heart. To think that we need to be something more than what we are is
right.
of the mind, not of the heart. So that's why I'm bringing in also this perspective with the Kundalini, that it's the most wonderful thing when we have respect for it and when we listen to it, because my Kundalini was actually back off. It could feel that I was not like completely like in the right wave. I was a bit out because I was pushing.
So you were feeling
Um,
so good, you wanted more, 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 and you just, yeah, went overboard. So, but it's hard for the personality, I guess, with any sort of addiction to know when to stop, right? So it's,
that's why I use myself as a cautionary tale at this point, and also because there's a tendency, because we're so new to the Kundalini awakening, to to glorify it in the biggest sense, like this is the ultimate and the thing. It is the most beautiful thing, but we have to respect it, like fire. We
right.
have to respect that fire, um, and learn how to integrate and listen to that energy within ourselves, to have a
Well,
deep respect for it.
I'm glad you
Deep
shared that because I think the reason we're doing these classes forum is to tell people the whole scope of the phenomena. It's like it's not just bliss and fun, and if you heard Soraya, it could be tough at times. And everyone said it's a path, it's a spiritual path.
Yeah.
And I think more and more of this will be happening, a spiritual emergence, and people need to know what's going on. So thank you for that little red flag on on the road to awakening, where we need to say, okay, we have to
Yes.
balance this
Because as
challenge.
high as you go,
Yes,
as high as you go is as deep as you're going to go. Like you're going to go into the shadow just as far as you go, as high as you go into that light, into your Kundalini awakening. Especially if you're not ready, like if your container is not big enough to hold that much light and love, then you will bring up more shadow than you may be able to process, and your body will express that shadow. That's why we need to do our shadow work when we're also working with our Kundalini. It's really important to do the dark and the light work together.
I think that's really interesting to remember that, because I know I'm one of those people that says, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. And not even, how do you even recognize the symptoms that you need to take a break? You know what I mean?
Yes, you gotta feel it. And what a shaman said to me in Bali. I met this shaman in Bali. It was very humbling. He I had a translator, but the translator, and he was pointing his finger at me like this, shaking his little, wagging his finger at me, and he said, "Too much bliss, too much ecstasy."
Too much.
wow.
And he said, you need to learn more from your Kundalini.
He
You will
says that.
miss your life's mission if you do not listen more and learn from your Kundalini.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, I had been really like, I thought that was the thing. Let me go into the bliss. Let me go into the ecstasy, into the oneness of creation. I'm like, this is it, like this is the most profoundly amazing place. I want to be here all the time. Why not? It's like, no, because we're here to grow. So we're here to integrate that with respect into the body, with an honoring into the body, and so that the body can hold that much light. But it requires doing our shadow work, like really facing our shadow. That's what helps the Kundalini to integrate.
No, it's interesting. You told me you actually went not just into the shadow, but into the dark.
Into the womb, right?
And that helped ground some. Talk a little bit about that and play that little thing after that you recorded. But talk, because Joan was really interested in the dark room experience too.
I was. I saw your post and wanted to hear this.
It was profound. I really had an expectation that my Kundalini, and I really did, I felt like my Kundalini was going to have its way with me because, my Kundalini will take me over. I do work with my Kundalini every morning. That's my commitment, that I move into Kundalini every morning. And I thought it was going to have its way with me, but it was quite the opposite. While there were moments where my Kundalini had its way with me, it was more about sitting in the smallness of my personality, all the things that I feel, my insecurities, my limiting beliefs, within this consistent hum of the infinite. And it was just non-stop, just incredible. Like, I can't even describe. It was 3.5 days, and you do not sleep as long. Well, at least I didn't sleep as long in the darkness. So one day was like 3 days. So sitting with self, with the smaller self for the most part. And I did go into Kundalini too. I did have Kundalini take me, and that was amazing to have that happen in the darkness. It was like thank you to get to go into the oneness. But more so, it was sitting with the small personality and really learning to love Larisa, to forgive Larisa, to make peace with all the things that I wish that I had more of within myself. Like, specifically, I shared with Alan yesterday, it's like I had these thoughts about I am, grieving over the fact that I'm not as smart as I'd like to be, and I'm not as strong as I'd like to be, and I'm not as talented as I'd like to be, and I'm not as beautiful as I'd like to be, like all wise, all the things. It was just coming up really, like, in a way where, rather than pushing it away, where I have done in the past, in the sense of, come on, that's not true, and using Byron Katie's work of, is that true, and then showing myself all these examples, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. Instead, allowing for myself to have this full-on just be the victim right now, sit in that consciousness of and allowing myself just to cry, to sob about, like, but I really, really wish I was smarter. I wish I could find all those words I was looking for, just pull them out of that file cabinet, because I know it exists, and right now I can't find it. And, like, just things disappear in my consciousness sometimes when I want them. And allowing myself to really feel that at the core of the core, and just to be able to witness, like witness that part of myself and be like, do the work with myself that I do with my clients, which is, I think, one of the most powerful tools. And I used it on myself. I needed to use it on me too, which is hand on heart, hand on belly. It's okay. It's okay that you're not the smartest. It's okay that you're not the strongest. It's okay that you're not most beautiful. And this awareness of it comes and it goes, like the river that flows through the infinite. I am the infinite, the many faces of the infinite. And that the infinite is, in order to learn and grow, our lessons are going to be very unique given the alchemy of our personality and how necessary our personality truly is in order for us to give a specific medicine to ourselves and to this collective for growth. So I sat within that, within this place of it's okay. It's okay that I'm not these things, because it comes and it goes like the river that flows through the infinite. I am the infinite. And sitting in that gave me this other peace, because I sat in that and I sat in that and I kept feeling into the deeper layers of it's okay. Like it was okay to feel, like it was okay to have this limiting belief. And there's something about making it okay. Like when you feel that at the core of who you are, when you're not even trying to say that's not true, that there's this self-acceptance that comes at a much like deeper level. Because if you can be okay with everything that you are at the deepest level within you, then there is love. Then there is unconditional love. And we become the unconditional love of God. So in loving and accepting the self, we actually become the love of God.
Mm. Thank you, Larisa.
And so that's integrated, right?
Wow.
Yes, and you, Anastasia, might have something to say, and then we want to bring in Barbara Hand Cloud. But did you want to also play that little piece of music that you had?
Sure, yeah. And
And then but Anastasia, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yes, I would like to comment. Thank you so much, Larissa, for sharing your wisdom and your experiences. I would like to comment about when you go to highest highs. It's so true. You would go to the lowest lows. And I always bring this up in my classes and my personal experience. I was having all this ecstasy, bliss, orgasmic experiences. And I thought also, wow, this is it. This is the realization. And then Kundalini will teach you, will guide you and give you through people, through relationships, some hardship that you need to integrate to go to this lowest low, painful experiences. And then the key is to like surf through these experiences, like not being attached to the highest highs or the lowest lows. And with this loving awareness, you're able to go through and maintain it with an open heart.
yes.
Beautiful.
Very well said.
Well,
Thank you so much. I think we're going to have a little discussion at the end. What do you think, Alan?
I'd love that because there's been so much
Do a
love
little-
and so much overlapping connections that but I know Larissa has to go, and why don't we bring Barbara Hand Clow on? But do you want to play a little of that little piece just to kind of end there?
Sure.
But and
I
then
thought people might enjoy this. This is
We can have Barbara turn on her camera.
yes, just ask.
do you want me to go ahead and just
Yes,
get
go
it going?
ahead.
Okay, let's see if this is a good volume enough.
And what do we
Can you
listen
hear that?
to? Yes.
meet you where you are. I will breathe with you, following your flow, till we breathe one breath that escapes beyond the edges of our forms. Breath becomes waves, becomes an irresistible vortex that swallows us whole. I will breathe with you till my eye dissolves into shh. I become the sensual sea of the dark goddess, primal, insatiable, seismic spirals of love's rapture. We will surf the thin, fine line of form and formlessness, healing the microcosm as she directs her focused awareness at wanting undiscovered terrain, and training with the one golden wave of creation. Multi-dimensions unfold like a fan, then collapse into singularity. Shiva stirs from the vastness of his one-pointed stillness to dance with his beloved Shakti, his source of power, purring, intoxicated with her wild, untamed swell of potentiality. He rises to meet her, fully, completely, wholly, till finally she relaxes, letting go of the wheel of personal control. To be danced, to be ravenously taken, shaken within the sanctuary of his protective arms, ecstatically anticipating the brush of his finger across her enlivened breath. Tsunamis swell and crash into every crevice of existence until she has drunk every drop of his adoring Amrita, until she is dripping, pregnant with his presence, until this epic love fulfilled births in blooming universes, yet imagined.
That that is the breath of the Kundalini. That's the
Oh my
serpent
God.
breathing.
that is the heart. That music was really, my whole belly resonated. Much gratitude for that, Larissa.
Something may be awakening in you, Joan.
Oh my God! First of all, I can't wait till the Soraya's event. But now I feel like, okay, I'm going to be immersing myself in this because it's
Yeah.
a bliss state right now. Anyway, Larissa, that was really moving. That the way you did the music, your voice over it, I felt like we were all hearing our own soul. I also felt like that was probably what you were hearing sometimes when you were in the womb under there. And I want to comment and say how I was on your Facebook page that day when you were announcing you were going in. I just caught it. It was like, oh my God, that's such courage. Holy moly, to go in the dark. You know, I want to tell everyone you were in the dark, right, for 3 days.
Yes.
No light, not a speck of light, and sound deprivation too.
So you couldn't play music. Or did you have your instruments with you, or you like?
I did. I brought a guitar with me. I brought a sansula, a little thumb drum, and I brought a micro cassette recorder that I got off of eBay.
Oh my God, they're like ancient history now. That's an antique.
I know, and I bought one just so that I could literally record myself and any ideas, any revelations that came up, since you can't use digital because then you'll see a light, right?
Oh my God, that's right. Okay.
So, but I didn't play music. I just had to, I mean, I created music in darkness, and music was a really amazing way for me to integrate the teachings in the darkness. That was the biggest piece.
I feel like you integrate music you bring music as a way to help people integrate their own awakenings. Yeah. And I feel that I'm just so honored that you're here with us and we got to have you here. So that's great. So guys.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you, Larissa. It is beautiful. We'll see you at Disclosure Fest, right, Joan? We'll see her there.
I'll see you. Yes, I'll be running up to the stage to see you. Okay, just tell you, I'm Joan. I have my wings.
LarissaStow.com. Larisa Stow in the Shakti Tribe. If you want to hear more of her really inspiring, it's like your music comes from a different place that most people music comes from. It comes from that essence of being. I mean, you put your whole self into it. So,
and a lot of Kali. There's a lot of Kali. A lot of Kundalini activation. Very like primal. There's a lot of primal mother.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all that with us.
I know you have another thing to go to, but do you want to say hello to Barbara Hand-Cloud? Barbara, do you want to turn on your camera? Does she know to turn on the camera there, Joan?
Well, ask. There she is.
There she is. And your sound, Barbara. Just sound. Let me see if I can help.
Oh, hello. There, it'll be there.
Hi. Did you hear it?
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, and what wonderful music.
Thank
it
you.
really, really expresses the flow of Kundalini to me. Very, very, very lovely music.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward, Barbara, if I didn't have to hop off to this other round table, I've heard so many wonderful things about you and your wisdom, and I really look forward to getting to learn more from you.
And you've got a long, wonderful career ahead of you. It's wonderful music.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it is. Thank you, Larissa. We love you.